So
It's about
how
to
far
start.
can you see?
Let me just, so I can make sure that it's on my, that everything is up and going here. So we are live. We are live.
Alrighty.
Okay. So hello, everybody, and welcome to the Renee Adams Show. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started. Please like, share, and comment on this broadcast. I really appreciate that. And also, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, you can always inbox me to let me know that you're interested. Today, I have my guest, recording artist, Matt Johnson. So I'm so excited that you had the opportunity to come onto the show. As you just told me, you're in Toronto right now. So how are you holding up with all of this craziness going on?
Well, I mean, it's basically the same everywhere. It's a lockdown, and I think they're taking more precautions up here though, because they locked down everything real quick. As soon as they got a whiff of what was happening in the States, the UK, and their prime minister's wife got the COVID-19 when she came back, they just shut everything down. And then I just had to kind of like brace for everything. Like when I went to the supermarkets, everything changed. The social distancing, changed everything. Lines got longer.
So how have you been creative in this time?
I just been doing things via social media, and certain things were basically done a little bit before the lockdown. So thankfully we had the single release in place, and then we had like all the graphics. Only thing we didn't do was the official music video. We didn't do a music video, so we ended up having to do a lyric video.
Yeah, tell us about the music video that
for the new single.
The new single, yeah, tell us about that.
So the song, I go as my real, my birth name is Matthew Johnson, but me go as Matthew Johnson because of the Jamaican thing, so because I'm half and half. My mom's from Jamaica and my dad is from New York, obviously, and they met in Jamaica, But the new single came about. It's a fusion of pop, dancehall, and then we added in Latin because we got the guy Cito Rocks on there. I don't know if you've heard of Cito Rocks from Miami. He was involved with people like Zach Noel, Pitbull. He's been on tour with them. So I wanted to get that the Latin vibe into the music too, because the Caribbean has Latino countries there too, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, right?
I love it.
So we added that vibe in there. And when I came up here to Canada, my acting manager, Nelly, say that again?
Oh, I couldn't hear you. I was just listening to you. I think the audio was in and out a little bit, but you're fine. I just didn't hear you for a moment. But no, you're good. So tell us how you got into the music industry.
Well, my father was a promoter back in New York City in the 80s and the 90s. And he was doing a lot of reggae shows, Reggae Under the Stars. And he used to have me around all those people like Pablo Moses, the Force MDs. You know the Force MDs from back in the day?
I do remember. Yes. It was a long time ago, but yeah, I do remember. So your dad was in the music industry?
He was. He was actually in a band called Reverend Johnson and the Positive Vibes. Did you hear me?
That was based in what, Jamaica?
It was based in New York City.
Okay, cool. So he already
knew a lot
of people.
So I was already working with a lot of people, in the mix with a lot of people, and then eventually I got a music manager in New York City called B. Montgomery of the Mothership Connections, and she used to manage Busy Bone of Bone Thugs and Harmony and the group Soul For Real. Remember Soul For Real?
Well, I know Busy Bone, but I don't know.
Back in the day?
I do. Soul For Real. It sounds kind of familiar, but I might be mixing it up with another group. I don't know. But anywho, I mean, you were...
They sung that song.
Say that again.
Candy Rain. Remember Candy Rain?
Candy Rain. Okay.
Remember Candy Rain?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do remember that.
So she used to manage them. Yeah, she used to manage them. And then she picked me in a group. I was in a group back in the day called Mixed in New York City.
Wow.
And she gave us a shot to open up for all these people at the Decade nightclub in Manhattan. And that's how I got into the industry. But the group didn't work. So I ended up having to go solo.
And how long ago? So when you first started in the group, how long ago was that?
That was around 10 years ago.
Okay, so you've been in the music industry now, say what, 20 years?
No, well, professionally, not that long. I've been always in the music and around the music for a long time. But professionally, maybe the last 10, 12 years.
10 to 12 years. So really the advantage point for you as an artist, it was your family and the people that they knew. But like what point did you like figure out that, I can sing or I can rap and this is what I want to do? I mean, although your dad did it,
Well,
you know that you had the skills.
well, like, my dad kind of did something different. He kind of did almost like a spoken word kind of thing, kind of like a chanting kind of spoken word. I started off doing like pop R&B, and then eventually I started getting more into the dancehall thing, and that's when I started going into the more reggae kind of vibe.
Okay, so that makes sense because my next question was, how did you define your style? Being from having a Jamaican family, being from New York, so you have a lot of variety there. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you can just define that for us a little bit more of how you mix all those together.
So like being in a Jamaican background, like my Jamaican side actually more raised me more than my African American side. So my grandmother and my cousins would have me around. They would have me at their parties, their barbecues, and stuff like that. So eventually, I started getting more and more like deep into the dancehall and the reggae stuff. But at home, mom would play like Anita Baker. They would play Music Soul Child. They would play those records. So I would hear more of the pop kind of soul, R&B, neo soul things, you know, at home, you
Right,
know.
right,
But
right.
like with my mom's family, they would play more like reggae dancehall, straight up reggae. And I used to stay with them. They used to have to babysit me when my parents would go to work. So that's how I kind of like more kind of dove into the dancehall reggae side.
So
And that's how I found my style.
nice. Okay, so do you play any
Yeah.
instruments or anything like that?
So we were gonna get there. Like I went to Dr. Trogan's music school in Staten Island, and then I eventually, when I graduated from St. Peter's Boys High School, I was in the drama department. I went to Long Island University, which was for my music major situation. That's when I started really getting into learning theory and learning how to play the piano and stuff like that.
Have you been able to use any of those skills in your music thus far?
I have, because when you go into the studio and they're asking you, hey, sing on this note, sing on this key, sing
That makes
this,
sense.
that, you know how to like get in key and get in touch with like what the musicians are doing. And even on stage, when you play with a live band, if you go off key and they change key and you don't know what the key they're going in, you're going to get lost and you'll be singing off key.
Yeah, we don't want that. so that's a bonus for you to have those talents as well. So you are like multi-talented actor, musician, and you what else did you say that you did? You're actor, musician, and
Well, I'm a singer, songwriter, actor.
All those
Well, I
things.
dabbled in modeling. I did stuff with Wilhelmina on Fashion Week in Texas. Wilhelmina models.
Wow.
That was like years ago. It was like 5 years. Yeah. That was when I was even more in shape and,
Okay, you was doing it.
So I dabbled in it.
Okay, that's interesting. That is really interesting. So your passion, is it more in the music than acting, or how would you order those in your, like, as far as your passion?
I would say it's more music, because that's really like what I spent most of the time doing. But I had a lot of blessings in the acting field because I was on One Life to Live, the soap opera, for a couple episodes. I did a lot of military commercials.
Okay.
That was staying on, and I got the lead role, so they paid well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Good for you. Okay. So
that's good. That
very
sometimes
nice.
pays for the music.
So are you with a record label now, or are you more independent?
Well, I do own my own independent record label. It's called Interview Music Inc., which I started like 4 years ago. But recently, for this single, we're with Sapphire by The Orchard and powered by KMG. So we're basically on like a subsidiary of Sony, basically, right now, for this single, at least.
For this single. Okay. So once this is over, then it's back independent. That's how it works, right?
We'll see how it works, because we have this big
you have this big what?
Campaign. We have an 8-week campaign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Okay. And so I hear you now. Yes. Thank you. So do you find it to be easier for you to be an independent artist, especially with all you basically had leverage? Do you feel like it's easier for you to be this independent artist that you are today?
Well, it's harder being an independent artist, to be honest with you, because the labels, they have more reach, they have more connections and stuff like that. But now that the pandemic came, it's even more leveled the playing field because everybody's on social media now. Right. So even the independent artists and the major label artists, they still have to use the same things because now nobody can tour. Nobody can be in certain like avenues anymore. They can't do major shows anymore. They can't go overseas and tour. Everything is shut down. So right now, even the major label artists are basically like major independent artists. They're on the same playing field. You still have, they might have more numbers on social media. They might have verifications. They might have, but like me, like I'm an independent artist, like basically, and I have verification.
Right, you sure do. I did see that on your Instagram. So it really doesn't make a difference. It's just if you get to that status, then you can get verified. So, but I mean, you travel all over the globe. You're popular. You're not just in America. You're just all over. The globe performing. You've been doing this for years. So, where do you see yourself like 5 years from now?
Well, hopefully to be touring out of this pandemic situation, have like a couple of albums under my belt and some nominations, because right now I'm working with Juno Award winners and I'm working with Grammy nominees, and that's something that I aspire to. I want to be able to say, hey, I have a Grammy award or a Grammy nomination or Juno, and I have an album that was nominated. So that's where I see myself, and then also building my brand to next levels and level. Like you see how Rihanna is doing things in the fashion world and she's doing things in different business platforms. I want to be able to get to that plateau where it's not just, oh, I'm a face of music. I'm a face of business as well.
Right, exactly. And just outside of music, do you have any charities or community type things that you are involved in?
I'm getting into that stuff right now as we speak. Even with this single, Go On Get It, I'm going to be putting a percentage of sales to COVID-19 causes. And my sister recently just passed away of breast cancer last October in New York. And I was going to give a percentage of sales. Yeah, it was really sad. She passed at 40, and we were going to give her a percentage of sales from the new single to that. So we're getting into all those things.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that, but that's a great cause and something I definitely feel a lot of people will, understand and want to, donate as well too. So that's wonderful. If you want to post that link, here on the broadcast after we're done, that would be perfect. So is there any other projects that you're working on right now other than your new single?
Well, this is gonna be a major project, this single right here, because there's gonna be a remix to follow. That's gonna have another radio campaign. This major single, I guess you could say, for me at least, is gonna lead up to an EP. So a bigger plethora of material.
And
And then the EP will lead up.
Is this like the first type of level up for you as far as this level of music goes?
I think I've never collaborated with a Latin artist before, and even a Latin Grammy. Like he's a Latin Grammy nominee, I guess you would say. So like this is a level up for me.
Oh, good. I mean, that's all that matters. At least we're leveling up and making it happen. I'm so happy to hear that you are continuing to grow and prosper and head in the direction that you aspire to be in. That's awesome. Yeah. So is there any advice that you would give to artists today that's trying to make it as a star? Like what kind of advice would you give to them?
I would just tell them to be themselves and stay unique, because there's a lot of people that are just being copies of other people, and the people that are not being copies, they're getting over quicker, faster, and they're more of the people that people are signing nowadays. And I would just say be themselves and never actually sway away from their family values that they were raised on, because there's too many people, especially in the hip hop world, there's too many people dying of drugs and what have you. We need to like change, especially in the Black community and the community of color. We need to embrace each other and help each other get out of those situations so that we're looked on in a different light.
Very nice. Very well said. Yeah. Thank you. So where can people find you?
So on my social media platforms, they're all at Matt UJ Music. So at MATTUJ Music. Twitter, Instagram. Perfect. And then like as far as the single and my music goes, it's on everything under Matthew Johnson. It's being distributed by Sapphire KMG via The Orchard, and it's everywhere. You can find it anywhere, like Amazon, Google Play, Rhapsody, iTunes, Apple Music, the whole shebang,
That's good. Yeah, that is so wonderful. It was so nice to talk to you, and it's so refreshing to have artists on and just be so willing and open to talk about their story and their journey. And you did so well with that. So I really appreciate you for coming on and just being you.
No, I appreciate you for having me on, Renee. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing my story, because that's basically what your platform is doing, is sharing our stories. So, we need platforms like yours to bring artists, entrepreneurs, what have you, so we get our point across and we get our story across.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, everyone, that was Matt Johnson. So definitely check him out. And again, if you would like to be on the Renee Adams Show, please inbox me. We can talk about, what your product or service, or even if you have an inspirational story that you would like to share, you can get in contact with me. And again, just thank Matt for being on the show and sharing that wonderful journey of his of being a music artist. Thank you so much. And you enjoy.
Have a blessed one.
Be safe out there. Yes, be safe out there. And
I will.
Good night.
You too, Renee.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bless.